So good morning. What we are going to do today is let me explain you the business process I'm going to cover up. So the business process is that I'll be doing a full-fledged demo from buying to selling. So you can see as per my presentation, it is a make to stock process I have taken, and this is specially made for the electronic industry. So let me just explain on a high note how it's going to be function. Right, first and foremost, I'm assuming this is a make to stock as mentioned earlier. So what we do is, so what we are going to do is I will be raising a purchase requisition note in the solution, which let's assume this was raised by an employee who is working for the procurement department, and he's forecasting that there will be multiple sales will be available on the upcoming seasons, and he wants to purchase and keep them on stock. So that will be converted after an approval for a purchase order. You can see this is a direct approval. I have not configured to multi-level approval. So once the purchase order has been raised in the solution, the next step would be to complete the GRN, which is the good receive note. So at the time of good receive note, depending on the product, so you will be either valid for a serial number capturing or a batch number capturing. Since it's an electronic industry, my product will be mostly based on serial numbers. So the serial number which will be captured at the time of a GRN. So the next step what we will do is we will be raising a supply invoice or a purchase invoice in the system. Then the next step would be once the purchase invoice, or else we call that as an account payable invoice, will be raised in the solution. And once the account payable or the purchase invoice has been raised in the solution, there will be a vendor payment, or else a supplier payment will be done to that particular supplier in the relevant currency. So once that is done, the next step what we are going to focus is about the sales aspect. So in here I have not captured the lead capturing of the customer. If I want, yes, I can do, since I have covered in the previous videos. I'm not focusing on that. So here we are raising directly on sales order. So the customer will be picked, and the next step would be, according to the sales order, the dispatch that will be done, and the sales invoice will be raised according to the dispatch. Account receivable invoice and custom receivable will be captured. So this is on a high level. I have just captured the business process. So in between I'm trying to cover up some of the concepts in finance. So let's get started on the business process. So I'm going to do my transaction in this tenant or this company. So let's first and foremost let's raise a purchase requisition in the solution. So I'm going for my transaction, which is purchasing. So let's assume we are going to start the purchase requisition. So let's get started. Right, so as I was saying, so let's start. Unfortunately, I had to change the subsidiary because the previous subsidiary where I was in, I have had a restriction in my access. So I switched to another subsidiary. You can see over here. So this has access to all the functional areas what I require to do the demonstration. And please note that I will be doing the demonstration from one login, having multiple access to do multiple transactions. So let's get started. So as per this, first and foremost, let's request for a purchase requisition note. So let's go for the transaction. Let's go for the purchasing. Under purchasing, you have enter requisitions. So you can get the previous list or search. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter a new requisition. So I'll click on this enter requisition page. So the requisition page will be loaded over here. Request is me, Fazlan, and the subsidiary I can select whatever the subsidiary I am interested. So let's say this is my subsidiary, which is Northwood Inc. Private Limited. You can see the date, which is 27th. I have just taken the date. So let me come to the item grid. I'm not going to complete all these things since it's the purchase requisition form. So let's come for the items. So under the item, I can select the product what I have created. So since it's an electronic buying and selling industry, or that's my nature of my business. So let me select first and foremost the product I'm required. So I go to the detailed search. So let me type TV. So this will be coming. So this is the particular product, which is NWP005 TV 32 inch. You can see I have given even a base price which is $400, so which is an inventory item. So I am click on that, so I can select the product quantity I'm going to purchase. Let's assume I'm going to purchase 100 quantities. So you can see other details have been already captured from my product master. So I'm not going to fill all this other information. I believe it's not mandatory as of now. So all the information have been captured. So let me go and save this requisition. So I click on the requisition form. The requisition form now has an approval process. As you can see, it is going for an approval process called pending approval. So since I will be approving my requisition in this case, so I will edit my purchase requisition, which is an existing one. So I can come to my approval status over here. I can either approve, reject it, or hold it in, for an example. So what I do is I will approve this purchase requisition, assuming these pricings are fine with me. So once the requisition has been completed, let's click on the saving option again. Okay, now the purchase requisition will be on the saving mode, and also you can see now the status will be changing as pending order. So the requisition is confirmed. So we have just completed the first step over here. You can see over here. So the next step according to this business process is to raise the purchase order. So let me click on this create purchase order. So I'm converting this requisition into a purchase order. So once the purchase order has been raised, I can select the subsidiary I'm interested. In this case, I'm assuming this is common for all my subsidiaries. I'm not restricting it. I'm not going for those catering as of now. So let me select the purchase requisition over here. Okay, you can see the product, every information has been captured. So let me select the relevant supplier or the supplier qualification over here. So this is my relevant supplier I'm interested. So Bangkok Private Limited, where I will be purchasing my products from him. So the US dollars and quantity, everything has been already captured. So let me just submit the purchase order. You can see the purchase order has been submitted, and also you can see the status is not started. That means it has to go through an approval process. So let's again let's say now so you can see the purchase orders in the progress level. So let me refresh it once again. Okay, so I think in this case, let me just open up the purchase order, which is the number 136209. So here you can see this, when I open up the existing purchase order, you can see it's going again an approval process. So by default we have provided purchase requisition approval and also the purchase order approval process. Again, you can see since I'll be approving my purchase orders, because there is no hierarchy set up over here. So let me just assume that I am okay with the pricing, the supply is fine, everything is fine with me. So I just submit, click on the submit. So the purchase order will be now be submitted. Right. So you can see once I submit, the pending approval now gives me two buttons, either to approve it or either to reject it. So I'm going to approve with this. I'm okay with the pricing and everything. So let's approve the purchase order. Right. Now you can see I have completed the approval process. The system is throwing up a notification in my transaction form saying approved by the supervisor or the pending receipt. So according to this business process, so let me open up my presentation slide. So we have completed this, which is approved. Next step is to complete the GRN process or the good receipt note. So let me click on this receipt button. So I am going to the item receipt as of now. Right, so the item receipt page is loaded over here. Let us take the product what I was. So as I mentioned you earlier, since this is an inventory serialized product, I'm sorry, I did a small mistake. Before starting to do my GRN, I have to select my particular location. So let's select this location as Colombo 3. This is my particular default location where I'll be doing mainly my GRN. So now let me complete my serialized capturing. So since I have 100 products, it's better to go with the auto generation option. So I can provide my own prefix and the system will generate all these automatic numbers. So let's click on this automated generate number. Let me enter a prefix. Let's say for an example, let's go something like this, NEP001. The minimum digits I can put, let's say 5. right? The starting number is 1. Okay, so this is the way I'm going to, let's make it 0. This is nice then. Yeah, so while it will be taking a little bit of time because it's 100 serial products, so the system has to create serial numbers for 100 line items, so it will take a small time, so let's be a little patient. Right, it took a little bit of time. You can see all the numbers have been already generated up to 100 rows. So let's click on the OK. So the pricing is fine, the inventory is now done, the serial number has been captured. And one important thing I just want to mention, since this is a local purchase, that means I'm not going to do any landed cost over here. I'm not assuming that. So basically what I cover over here is the purchase requisition, the purchase order, the GRN, and the supply invoice. So that's my final steps. So just a hint of guideline the way I complete. So I'm okay with all the necessary information has been provided. Let me click on the item received save option. Now the receipt is done. Right, let's see. Okay, the item received is fine now. Yes. Right. Okay, now you can see it is okay. So it's everything has been captured. Right. Okay. So item received is now fine. The next step would be to complete my, just give me 1 second. The next step would be to complete my approval, or sorry, the purchase invoice. So let's go for the payables, enter supply invoices. Let me click on the right click. Right, so the supplier invoices will be loaded here. Now you can see this is a grid line which provides for the users to select my supplier invoice. Okay, going to go from here, I guess. Let me see, I think. Okay, just give me 1 second. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, sorry about that. So the next step would be, now since I have completed my item received, next is to complete the billing of the supply invoice. So let's go for the transactions. Let's go for payables. Let's click on this bill purchase orders, right click, open it up. So you can see in this it will be loading all the purchase orders relevant to all the suppliers over here. So let me do a small filtering and select my relevant supplier over here. So this is my supplier, so all the details which are pending to do purchasing invoices will be loaded over here. So this is the relevant purchase order what we raised, 13692. You can confirm over here. So let me submit this. So the purchase order will be now loaded, or sorry, the purchase invoice, I'm sorry, or the supply invoice will be captured over here. You can see all the relevant account payable, all this has been already captured, which is my default account over here. So the product is loaded over here. So let's build this. Okay, sorry, I have to enter my location again. I did the same mistake. Right, so it has been captured. Now let me save this invoice. So the supply invoice will be now captured. Right. Okay, so the supply invoice is done. The next step would be in the payables is to approve my supply invoices. I have entered the invoice. The next step would be to approve it. So let me go. So this is the supply invoices which has to be approved in my sheet or my notification panel. So let me select this particular purchase order, which is this. Let me submit this. So the purchase invoice has been now approved. Yeah, so you can see the system is throwing me a notification saying the application of the supply invoice is perfect. So the next step according to this would be to so let's go for the presentation slide again. So we have completed the requisition, the order, the GRN, the purchase invoice. The AP invoice automatically will be loaded. So the next step would be to pay for this supplier. So let's go and do a payable or else a supply payment. So let's go and make a payment over here. Okay, so let's us first open up this supply invoice. It's much easier to go from this. So this is the supply invoice transaction we completed. Okay, so just let me open it up. Okay, you can see this is the supply invoice. Let's look at the reference. Yep, it is there. Right, the transaction number, the order, everything. So let's make a payment for this. Cost of goods sold, everything is captured. So let's make the payment. So I'll click on this payment. So I'm assuming I'm paying a cash or a, yeah, it's a bill payment. So account payable is there. So this is my relevant bank account which is responsible for my transaction. So you can see two things are there because I have entered a previous one as well. So but I'm assuming as of now I'm going to pay for one supply invoice. So let me make the payment for this. So right, so I have already paid for the supplier through my HSBC account, which is a transaction worth of 40,000 US dollars. So you can see this 4 is the number sequence which will be generated in this payment number 4. So it is completed. So we have just finished 50% of my this. The requisition is done, the order is done, the GRN is completed, the purchase invoice is completed, the AP invoice, and we made the supplier payment as well. So next step what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the sales order process, the AOD, the invoice, account receivable, and customer receivable. So let's go and do the other necessary transactions. So let me close this up. Right, let me again go to the mail. So I'm assuming, as I mentioned earlier, I am not going for a lead to account receivable process or a lead to cash process. What I'm going to do, I'm going to directly start from a sales order and continue on the process since I have captured, since I have completed the lead to cash process previously. So let's start. Let's go for the list. So the sales. So let's enter a sales order. Okay, I'll click on this enter sales order. So the sales order form will be loaded. Right. Okay, so let me select the customer over here. So the sales order, it's taking a little bit of time because the internet is a bit slow. Right, let me select the customer. Let's go for the tech list. Sorry, so let me select, okay, my customer. Okay, let me see. Let's say technology consultants is my customer. I'll select him. Okay, it has been captured. So let's come over here. I'm not going to fill all this information over here. It's taking a little bit of time. I think because of my internet is a bit slow. Right, so in the item tab, let me select the product. So I'll select my product, which was TV. Let me enter the information over here. strange. Let's see. Okay, let's enter the code. 05. Okay, let's see what has happened. Let me again try it out. Just to see what has happened. Right, so as for the business process, let's start with the sales order. So let's go for the transactions, let's go for sales, let's enter a sales order. So I'll click on the sales order. So this is what we are going to enter. Right, so let's select a particular form which is related to us. So let's go for the standard sales order form. So I'll just select this standard sales order. So it will just take some time. Right, so the next step would be, after you selected the custom form or the form you are interested, next step would be to select the customer. So let me go, I have created one customer. Let me select that customer. So just type this is my customer I'm interested. Take one global. Let's select. Okay, I think I have selected the wrong customer. Let me again change it. Select this. Okay, the customer is selected. Okay, that's fine. So the standard sales order, the customer is tick one global. So the next the thing would be to select the product. So let me come to the item master. It's just loading a bit. Right, so I came for the item. So let's select the item what I'm interested. So the product would be the product what we did the GRN, which is the electronic product. So let's select the product called TV. So I'll go for my search. Product is there. You can see the available quantity is captured 290. So let me select. So let me enter the quantity what I want to dispatch. So it's 10. So I can give a price, a rate value. Let's say it's $700. So the total is 7,000, which is the line item dollars. So let me select the location and the branch. So it makes our. So the location is here. Let's assume the branch is over here. So I entered some values. So I'm not going to enter the other things. So let's save the sales order. So the sales order now will be saved. You can see. Right. So I have entered the primary information, and you can see the total is 7,577 since we had a tax component. Right, so the next step would be to approve the sales order. So let's say I'm okay with this. I'm approving this sales order. Right, so the sales order is now approved. Okay, so the sales order is now approved. So the next step would be to complete my fulfillment. So click on the fulfillment. Right, so now item fulfillment is there. So let me select the necessary inventory batch numbers to be dispatched. So I select this just selecting. Since this product have been specified, select them. Okay, sorry. Okay, let me again do that. It's 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 6, 8. Okay, let's see. It should be fine now. Another one item I will be needing, so let me select this. It's completely fine now. Let's make okay. So let's dispatch this product from the location. So let me click on the item fulfillment. So I click on the item fulfillment. It's saved. So the next step would be to mark, packed and shipped. So I'll click on the mark packed. So I'm assuming the transaction is going forward. And I'm marking shipped. It's also now marked shipped. Right, now you can see it is shipped. So that means I have completed the dispatch. So according to the presentation, sales order is done, the dispatch is done. In between, the fulfillment and other necessary things can be done. So the next step would be to complete, according to this business process, is to complete the sales invoice, or else we'll say it's an account receivable invoice. So let me go for the sales. So let's see, invoice sales orders. So I'll click that. Right, now here you can see all the customers, all the sales invoices will be loaded. But let me select the sales invoice for the particular customer, which is Tech1 Global. Let me select. Right, you can see there are 2 sales orders have been captured. So this is the latest sales order that we raised, 19096. So let me go ahead with that. So I'm submitting the sales order. So you can see, let me just refresh. We are going to start now. It's in the progress. Again, let's click. Right, so again, so you can see, you can get the sales order. Let's go for the particular sales order and see the status of the sales order. You can see it's the sales order now. It's saying pending billing. So let's bill this. So I'm okay with this pricing. I'm assuming nothing to be changed. I'm billing this. So I'm not going to complete the other process like authorize, return, close order, create deposit, manage revenue recognition, freight code as of now. The only thing is a straightforward business process I'm trying to complete according to the task given to me. So you can see the invoice is now generated. Let's see. Yeah. So let's save this. I'm okay. Business times value. Let's say I'm just entering outright value. So let's create the invoice. Right. So the invoice is now to be generated. It's taking a bit time. Okay, so the invoice is now confirmed. You can see the invoice now based this number sequence have been generated. So I'm going to accept payments from the customer. So that's the last final step, account receivable. So let me go for that. So I'm going for the invoice and to accept the payment. So let's assume the customer is paying, yeah, the amount has been captured. So let's Yeah, so these are the necessary information already captured. So you can see, let's say the payment, you can see there is no outstanding for this customer because he is a newly created customer only for this purpose. So the payment is now done. Okay, so you can see the payment is done. The next step would be to do the bank deposit if required, but I'm not going to do, but let's give it a try. So let's edit this and see whether we can do the deposit over here. Okay, no, we can't do over here. So if we want, we can do the bank deposit. Let's go for transaction. Let's go for make deposit. Let's go for that. Then it's taking a little bit of time. So you can see the payment is captured over here, which is the amount of 7,577. You can see this is my HSBC account, which is my dollar account, as I mentioned earlier. I said. So let's make a deposit for this. So the amount, which is 7,577 and 50 cents US dollars, has now been deposited to my HSBC account. So that's basically about the full process I have completed. So from PRN to purchase order to this process to the sales process, I have just completed on a very macro level. I'm not going on a detailed level, just to highlight the main necessities. So let's look at some of the other financial transactions. I would like to demonstrate a little bit about some of the reportings. Let's go for some reports, and we'll see how we can view our, let's say, income statement, balance sheet and everything. Let's go for the income statement. Let me close this. You can see the income statement. If I want, I can click on this view detail. So this is my detailed report. Now it's loading. Let's say now if you are interested on a particular time range, you can filter these things, and if you want to, let's say, the consolidation or go as subsidiary wise, it's possible. Let's go for the subsidiary what we now created. It's not good. Okay, right, here you go. Northwood. Let's say I'm interested from December 2018 to January 2019. I just want to see my income statement. So it's loading the report. Let's see what are the details. You can see the income statement, the sales, you can see the cost of goods, and the gross profit I have earned, and the income. So this is on a very macro level. I just showed you some of the reports to be filtered, but of course all these reports are customizable. That means you can filter these reports depending on the time range you're interested, and you can create your own periods. You can go for subsidiary over here, and also you have the possibility of going for a consolidation. So that's very basically about my demonstration, and I hope I covered the most important parts, necessities I would say, from to an electronic industry, which was my case study. Okay, so the other financial transactions, it's about expense management, account receivable, account payable, all these things, but I'm not going on detail wise, but I have just completed this business process. Right, okay, thank you.